also been an associate, a senior associate with CAM, Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas, and she's
Pardon, Ramachan
also.
Mangal. Sorry, Komal. Just to
Oh, sorry, Sam. Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas. Well, they are just in the same league anyway, top tier firms. And also, she's been with Tatwa Legal for how many years, Isha?
close to 4 years.
Close to 4 years now. And she's an advocate. She's based in Hyderabad, like an advocate with the High Court. And also, she's been practicing uh, a good deal with the national company law tribunals across the country, right, Isha? In
Yes,
many cities. Many
yes,
cities.
yeah.
Yeah, so great. And of course, she's a good friend, and she's a faculty to quite a few of our LawSikho courses. So welcome, Isha. And we're gonna start it with just a little bit of brief for your journey. Like, how did you end up becoming or getting into the area of corporate litigation?
Sure. Just 1 minute. I'll take it. I'm so sorry about that. Yes.
Yeah.
So, coming to a question, I had already decided in my way back in my school time that I'll be doing law. I was a science student, and I ended up landing at Government Law College, Mumbai. Um, I think when I was interning, only during my internship times, I had a very good opportunity to work with some very good law firms and gain a bit of an exposure. Like my first internship was with Khetan and Company at New Delhi, and then after that I interned with AZB in Partners at Bangalore. Um, Thereafter, I worked with PricewaterhouseCoopers and so on and so forth. So during my internship days, I had an opportunity to work on both the sides of the coin, that is, on the litigation part of it as well as on the corporate part of it. So at Khetan, it was more of a litigation part that I enjoyed. When
Yeah.
I worked at AZB, when I interned there, and the sort of work that I saw there, it was you had some very good matters. The quality of work that was given to even to the interns was very high. But I somehow had a liking towards the litigation part of it. So after that, I gave it a shot at whichever firm that I went
Right.
up for. I took up only litigation so that I would really understand that whether I'm actually interested and I would make some living out of it or not.
Right, right. But how did you end up like actually working into it? So internships is correct like that, and particularly if you get internships where you really get to do value added work, that is very very helpful. But like for example, how did you end up working before the NCLTs or actually the High Court? How did the
So,
matters get?
right. So until 2016, I was doing a lot of general litigation, arbitration, the regular dispute resolution matters that I was doing. 2016, when we saw NCLTs coming up and when IBC basically came in, it was a very niche area at that given point in time, and it was like a call of the firm where I was working, my former firm, where they basically had a structured way of having a team. So whether even if you are in the litigation part of it, it was structured this way that a person and a team would be there dedicated only to NCLT. And and exactly at that very early stage itself, I was introduced to NCLT. I
Right,
already was working before the company law boards, etc. But with
right.
NCLT, it was absolutely a different ball game,
Yes, yes,
and it's
completely.
very organized. In fact, very structured, very organized, and very there was a lot of clarity in terms of the tribunal when I was appearing before them also. So I ended up, and I was doing mostly NCLT work. So that is how my firm had basically structured it for us.
Hmm. Okay, okay, great. And if someone were to look at, let's say practicing before the tribunals, National Company Law Tribunal or MCLAT,
Yes.
uh, so should they be starting, like you said, you had already kind of, decided that that's where you wanted to be. But should someone start very early? Like, can they move from, let's say, an in-house to litigation, or a transactional area to litigation, or what do you think about that? How early should one start if they really want to make their mark?
As early as they are able to identify that, yes, I need to be there. Um, so I would recommend that a person, if he or she is in his college, um, to basically look at going for tribunals way early in their final semesters. Personals and professionals who are
Right.
already into the profession, I
Yeah.
think uh, they should uh, they should be exposed to NCLT as soon as they can, because the sort of work and the sort of approach,
Right. Right.
the quality, everything is, it's like the best time to be there. It's one of the best places where you can build up your
Isha, I
practice.
think your voice is cracking a little bit.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better. But we lost the last few seconds, or like, last sentence probably of what you were speaking.
Right. So that's what I was saying was that when you are entering into your profession, um, it is always recommended that you should be attending to all the lower courts initially to basically get the hangover of how the litigation exactly works.
Yeah.
So with NCLTs, it's the same thing. As soon as you can, it's whether you have a matter with you or not. I think the
Right.
best way to, even if you attend regular matters, just be there and just
Yeah.
observe the courts there. You actually tend to learn a lot, and automatically you are also going to build up relations there.
Yeah.
So
Certainly.
as soon as you can dedicate your time to these tribunals, it's easier for you to basically have a good standing there.
Right. Right, right. And now that you said, like, you can kind of start or should think of this right when you're in college, does mooting help towards this? Like, does mooting contribute to your ability to deal with litigation later? Or some people say that it's just like it's absolutely nowhere near the real thing, So, like, even if you do, so I mean, I want your views on this.
So yes, mooting definitely helps. I would not say that it is only a co-curricular activity that should be looked at only at colleges and stuff. No, mooting definitely helps because that's the first platform which is given to you to express.
Right.
And there you come and you know the basic stuff, that is how to reach out a matter, like whether how you need to do a complete research on a topic, how you need
Yeah.
to address the court. So I think it's the first level. It can definitely be said that definitely it's not the exact way how the courts function, but yes, it's the first platform where you are given the way to express in the most I have seen some really great moves, and
Yeah.
I really encourage people to moot because things like these are giving you uh, the basic touch that you need in court. So the first step has to be there. So if a person does mooting in their college times, it definitely helps them.
Right, right. But you can't depend on it saying that, like, because I've mooted, I'm likely to be the litigator. You need additional, much more skills than that, right?
Absolutely.
So,
So I'm
yeah,
not mooted in any of my college years,
yeah,
which is very sad for me. But I had not done that. So this would not be a hindrance. See, this is only going
yeah,
to be a step.
yeah, yeah,
But yes, it
yeah,
will not act as a hindrance or a lesson that, oh, I have not mooted and therefore I would
yeah,
not be able to express my thoughts or views. That's because it's like once when you enter the profession, it automatically just gets into it. You just get into the hang
yeah,
of it.
yeah, yeah. And do you need to really train with like senior lawyers for a good deal of years? Let's say you already have the idea of that. Like you need to work with a senior lawyer. You need to accompany them on for their matters. You need to like understand the briefs, everything. You need to follow them basically or shadow them properly in order to be able to understand how the things are followed up. So like how long do we, is it very necessary to do that, or can you enter into a litigation area without having trained in that fashion? And if you need to do that, then how long should you be going for that? So that is something, if you can help it.
Sure. I would, while this is not a mandatory requirement to have worked with a senior before you start making appearances, I would certainly recommend persons to take some sort of a guidance from their seniors. That's because they
Right,
have been there and their experience is only going to add value to your learnings. So let us see it this way that um, you don't really need, so all that you need to be in court is a law degree, right?
right,
And that would basically, if you notice and observe in the courts around, there are certain people who have taken this sort of a call that they would go independent right when they graduate, and they are ready to take all the risks and everything. Putting that aside, in terms of actually representing a matter, it would always be helpful if you have a guidance. I would not say that you need to shadow them for each and every assignment, but yes, the basic guidance is something which you can look up to these seniors. um, how much time you would want to dedicate to them is absolutely up to you. It could be that you learn a lot right within 3 to 4 months, or maybe you take some substantial years and then go on and start making your own appearances. See how it works with the firms, and in mostly in the firms and even before the seniors also, is that nowadays a lot of exposure is given to the juniors at the very outset itself, which is a very good thing. So the seniors are actually pushing them directly, go handle this matter. They give a basic guidance. So that basically acts like a catalyst. You can definitely learn a lot if you are entering into the profession and have somebody to guide you.
right. I have someone telling me that my network is a little bit low. How many people are experiencing a lag in my voice? Is there a lag in my voice
Yeah.
that's being experienced?
Yes.
Isha, is it?
Yes. Now
Okay, okay.
it's absolutely audible and clear.
Yeah. Okay. I can't change the networks in the middle of it because otherwise the webinar will get affected. But as long as it is audible and clear, that should work. Okay, so one more thing that I wanted uh, to check on this is that most people are really kind of concerned with this, that what will happen to us when we are standing before the court and there are sudden unanticipated situations that happen. This is something that people like, for example, there is a judge who's in a really bad mood, or you don't know, like, you can face kind of questions which are completely unanticipated. So that is something that really makes people kind of weak need, or thinking of, like, how am I going to go about that? So what would you say about that? How can someone be prepared to deal with those kind of situations?
Presence of mind. But yeah, when you're early in your career, and then when you are given an opportunity before a judge, it's very natural to have these sort of you know inhibitions.
Yeah.
But in order to overcome that, the answer to this would be to be thorough in your matter, whatever that you are going up with. You should be good with your research skills. You should be prepared when you are attending to a matter in court. So while the first few minutes might be a little jittery and jattery for a new counsel, the moment he picks it up from the uh, you know from his research, from his arguments, whatever that he has prepared, I think it sort of overcomes this issue.
Yeah.
I'll share my experience with you. My first uh, my first experience before a court was at City Civil Court in Bombay, and I was actually appearing for a very high profile matter, extremely high profile matter, and I had to only take an adjournment. So all that I was supposed to say that the counsel is not available, and
Right.
I want to take an adjournment. I was so nervous that I had actually written down the entire exact line on my hand, and
Right.
I was like mugging it up. So the simple two lines, even to take an adjournment. So I think it's pretty natural. Even the judges, they understand. They're very uh, that means they'll be
Yeah.
they are well experienced there. They'll gauge ki, haan, okay, this person is pretty new to the practice, and it's good that they encourage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I had to then take an adjournment, so I was actually reading the lines from my hand, and then he said, "Okay, so that's how it worked for me there." Assuming this situation where you said that the judge is in a very bad mood
Yeah.
for whatever reasons, maybe the previous matter or for whatever reason, um, in that scenario, there's nothing much to do. You will have to appear, you'll have to make out submissions. Whether it works in your favor or not is something which you'll have to then leave it to the God and to the my lords altogether. But in order to overcome this sort of a situation, that is where you should start very early going to courts, even if your matter is there or not, so that you actually understand how the judge is going to uh, he's generally approaching a topic in court.
Yeah.
That ways you can just do a background. So like we were asked to attend courts. Like let's say if a matter
Yeah.
was supposed to be given to me, they would simply go and say, just sit and observe the judge there. While the initial days I could not really understand, make out okay what is happening around, but then eventually it did start to occur how the judge is perceiving the matters.
Yeah. 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 But this is very valuable advice that, you need to be prepared and thorough with your own matter. You have to be aware, because I can tell you this, that I have seen sometimes situations which are like buzzer rounds that are going through in the court. So, I mean, like immediately some information will be asked, and the person, the advocate who is coming with the matter is so thoroughly prepared that he knows that exactly in what part of the documents that specific thing is, so that they ask where is it in the documents that you have submitted, and they are able to quote that like very instantly on the spot. So that would kind of show that they are very very well prepared with the matter. They are very well aware of what exactly is inside the documents. That's why they are able to answer that kind of questions very promptly. So, like you said, we need to be actually appearing and be sitting inside the tribunals or the courtrooms where we probably intend to practice. But how much of it is like how much of it do you need to kind of analyze the case laws? For example, you are sitting in and you're watching a case that has been gone on, like there have been quite a few hearings for it, so you probably have a track of what has happened before in that case. Like you are able to find it from the websites of the tribunals or courts. You're able to find how long what has progressed in that matter and all. How much of an affinity that you need to really really look into, analyze and understand case laws, like in order, how much of that contributes towards your litigating abilities? Is it an absolute essential? Is it like how much of it weighs?
Absolutely. So it is an absolute essential, very relevant. Um, you must be uh, you must be able to basically understand what the issue is being dealt
Right.
with tribunals. When we see the NCLTs, the corporate tribunals, when we are looking at it, when you are attending the matter, see, the tribunals have a particular jurisdiction over particular matters. So when you start attending, automatically you will understand, okay, this is what the moot point is. Before entering into or before coming with your matters, it is essential that you are absolutely thorough with the law points. And in order to achieve that, you can do that only once when you have done a proper case analysis. You have done a proper case search. So whether you had an opportunity to actually view similar sort of matters being held at the tribunal or the courts when you are observing the courts in general, or whether you have done your own prior research in the matter. Either ways, this is one essential bit where every lawyer needs to work upon, that whatever that they are appearing with, the case analysis is something which is going to be detrimental if we are not if you have not really done a good job there.
Right, right. And of course, if you are looking at kind of analyzing the case laws and all, you will probably have uh, to probably look for help from, case compilation softwares. I think right now there are in Manupatra and all, which have been there since ages, but like you also have softwares which will enable you to do specific searches on let's say specific matters, or I don't know, with the help of decisions or things you're able to search. So have you used, like, do you use any such kind of software, like what and how useful that is for, like, let's say preparing your case?
Yes. So when we are looking at preparing for a case, we usually see Manupatra. It's like the best reformatory. We see SEC online. Um, I am a little traditional there. So when I start with my research work and when I start preparing for a case, I actually go to the commentaries first. So once I have taken a commentary and I have just flipped the pages through, from there, then I move on to Manupatra. And
Right.
from Manupatra, then so if you, Manupatra or these legal tools, these legal websites are, you need to understand how you, at best, you can use this sort of a website. So, what sort of keywords should be put in and how accurate it needs to be. So, all of this basically is going to assist you in your final product.
Yeah. 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 So it is like basically that you should use all of it that is available to you, and as much as you can, as far as the software and other, like, website helps is concerned.
Just to add,
Um,
Komal, just to
yeah.
add, like, not only for cases, case research, etc. Even if we are looking at some drafts, and
Huh.
where we want to take up, just we want to understand, okay, basically how a draft would look like. Then I have also taken help from practical law.
Yeah.
And there you tend to understand, especially if you're working across jurisdictions, like if you're working even with states outside India, you will have a perspective, okay, this is how their contracts also look like. So it basically also helps you if you are actually fully aware of
Yeah.
such sort of legal tools that
Hmm.
are there only to assist you. Is it my internet or Komal your internet?
My internet strength is full.
Great. I was just about to write.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, like, and another thing that I wanted to, yeah, Anurodha is saying I'm not audible, but I think I am now. Like, I think for a
Yes.
few seconds it went away. So, just to check, like, if you're looking at corporate side, like corporate litigation, where you are appearing before NCLT or NCLAT, how is that different from, let's say, taking on a civil matter or a criminal matter? Or how is the corporate litigation distinct? Like, what distinguishes it?
Yes. Right. So, one thing which I have found very helpful and which has been like a very substantial difference uh, between the two practices um, is that NCLT has its own set of forms and prescribed formats, which basically is very helpful for us. Also, the way it is structured, it is very methodical and it's a new setup. So it's come at a time when the technology is at its best, at least in these times. So it is
Yeah.
equating that, it's bridging that gap which was missing in the other ports that we were looking at. So it is far easier to do matters there because it's more structured, and limited matters were only being taken up before these tribunals. So it basically sort of while we are doing a lot of good matters, clean matters, it is also that we are not seeing just a trash of matters coming in. And especially
Yeah.
there's a lot of help with the technology there, while the other setups are just coming
Yeah.
in pace and tandem. NCLT is right there and it's using the technology at its best right now. So like the e-filings and everything that is happening at NCLTs, it's easier to appear there.
Right. Right. And do you believe that there are more high ticket matters or like high profile matters in corporate than you find in, let's say, civil or criminal or something like
No,
that?
I cannot say
Or
that because
or they are
the
more
civil code.
visible or something.
Yes, so the civil courts and the criminal
Like
courts,
obviously
they.
matters like, Tata versus Cyrus and all.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Sorry,
So
sorry, Isha, go on.
the matters which would make to newspapers, so matters which would actually end up on the page one of your newspapers. Yes, a lot
Yeah.
of this you tend to see at NCLTs and these tribunals
Yeah.
mostly. A lot of talked about cases because they are all dealing with the financial autonomy and everything in place. But having said that, I would not really discard it, saying that the civil courts are lagging in these high ticket matters, because the civil courts, they enjoy a vast jurisdiction and the sort of and it sees some really good clients there. We have seen some very good matters at the trial courts there, and only eventually from there you actually go on to see them at high courts and supreme courts or wherever. So
Yeah.
it is equally balanced there. But yeah, if you see a lot of matters which end up in newspapers and are being talked about, discussed about, insolvency and company related matters are mostly seen as a preference there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apart from
So coming from there, like, yeah, yeah. Go on.
apart
Sorry.
from
Sorry,
that,
go on.
sorry. So apart from that, Komal, for a lawyer, when you are practicing before an NCLT, it definitely gives you an edge, because while you have been uh, there, you have been looking at the trial courts as well. You are also now aware of the uh, new legislations, that how it is going to work and form by. So for a transition from a civil court lawyer to NCLT is a little difficult, but from an NCLT to the civil courts is a little easier.
Right, right. And what would you say about the transition from NCLT to High Court? Because obviously, like it's a tribunal is a very different arena from the High Court. So, if someone were actually looking to kind of, let's say, have a High Court practice, so then is it essential that you kind of begin from the tribunal and then move to the High Court level, or like you, because I've come across many lawyers who say that, sometimes law firms have this specific preference that we want someone who has experience before High Court. So like someone who's practiced before tribunals is something, is like, probably not given that much that much importance if they want, if they're looking for that. So how difficult or easy it is to move from, let's say, a tribunal to a High Court level?
Okay. If you are looking at it, High Court has a different procedure altogether. The process, procedure, and the time limits.
Absolutely.
So, while you can afford to give a lot of time before a judge in NCLT at High Court, comparatively, you will be given a little shorter time to express. So, you must be
Absolutely. Yeah.
from NCLT to High Court. If you're taking a transition, I think one should be very sure of the process that the High Court has and must be aware of the High Court rules. So each High Court, they have their own set of rules. You must be thorough with that. And while, see, at the crux of each and everything is that how prepared you are with your own matter. So if you are aware of the processes of the High Courts, and if you are
Yeah.
well prepared with your matter, I think that would combat and counter each and every, not exactly each and every, but yeah, to an extent, substantially, all of those stones would be really countered.
Yeah. 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 But like the hierarchy is like this, that it moves from NCLT to NCLAT to SC, and High Court is what people use for writs, like maybe against NCLT decision or something, like how we saw in the case of Flipkart and all. So
Yeah,
if people are looking to in the end practice before High Court, would you recommend that they actually directly go to that level, or like try things rather than take a step before NCLT? Would that transition become difficult, or does it actually add value to you if you are practicing before a tribunal and you then move to a High Court?
I think it definitely adds value if you are work before the tribunals at first and then you reach out to the High Court jurisdiction. It is always easier to start from the lowest level of judiciary, where you are able to see how things work at the base. Then when you move one step ahead, and then when you reach out to the High Court uh, rooms, um, while there would be substantial change in terms of procedure and all, but it's easier for you to pick up from tribunal towards the High Court rather than going and moving vice versa.
Right, right. I'll just give a couple of minutes. Does anyone have any questions? We don't see any questions in the chat here, but anyone has any questions for Isha at this point? Otherwise, we'll continue. Does anyone? I can unmute you if you let me know if you have any questions.
I think we have a question in the chat box.
There is just one here. So, how does the litigation process work in the early stage?
Right.
By early stage, I am not sure. Probably when someone starts their career, is that what you mean, or is that practicing before a lower forum? What would you mean by that, Anurodha? Okay, we're not really clear what that question actually means, but after the starting, is that what you mean? Yeah. So after just starting, let's say you're fresh out of, your college and you want to get into litigation. So I think Isha already answered that in the beginning. Like you need to be really prepared, have an affinity, be able to sit before the courts and the tribunals where you are looking to practice in the end. So you develop the ability to deal with or have a thought process that suits based on those things, based on those traits. That's exactly what we are talking about here. We are talking about traits. So that is something that we need to develop. How do you think one shall plan their internships in the corporate sector? This is another question which I believe it's really relevant because you may want to actually land internships in a specific area or in a specific sector which helps your litigation career. But how do you plan? Like, how do you look at actually getting those specific internships?
Right. So, one way of doing it is that when you're sending across your applications, you basically state the preference there. Um, See, the thing that I enjoyed, and the reason why I was able to get corporate internships when I wanted to, and litigation based internships wanted to, because we had a lot of time in our hand once our college time was over, and plus I was in Bombay. So it was easier for me to get internships because my college would be done by 11, by 10. And the offices would then, it would be easier for me to go and start my internship with. um, Having said that, I'm sure the other colleges, they don't really have that sort of a flexibility, and plus the people would be out of these major cities there. Then one way of doing it is that whenever you are reaching out to a person who is hiring for the internship, you make a direct contact with them by either getting in touch by a call maybe, and plus you can now use the social media which is there, like the LinkedIn. you know the LinkedIn is a place where you can
Yeah.
actually go and connect with your recruiters there who are looking for internship or for the job aspirants, and then you can basically get in touch and tell them and express them that you're looking out for something in this specific area of interest only, and how should you go about it, because every firm has a different policy. Like in my former firm, the policy was very different in getting the interns on in the office. So if you are able to get in touch with these persons who are actually into hiring and all, you will they are going to guide you there, because it's a different policy for each of the
I
firms.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
will have to
I
think out of
totally
the
agree with
box.
you there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally agree with you there, Isha. Like the direct approach is what really works very well because, first of all, not many people do it. Like, not many people
Yeah.
will be directly reaching out to the people, and the way you put your things, how you distinguish yourself is, I think, what is the game. So, what is it that you have that distinguishes others? Like, from the firm's perspective, why would they take you as an intern compared to someone else? So that is something that can become relevant. And I have another question here from Mayank. Which is the best place to intern for someone who wants to make a career in commercial litigation? Is it law firms or is it independent counsels? So should you be choosing to work
um,
with
Yeah. So, see, there's an advantage if you pick a law firm, because you know that there is a corporate section which is dealing with corporate commercial matters. But there are independent counsels also who are working on a lot of corporate matters. So you need to basically do your due diligence there and see
yeah,
that which person is appearing a lot before the authority, or is making a lot of presence in corporate matters before the high courts. There can be a word to word sort of a thing that you are actually checking out with your own peers who would be there in the same fraternity to guide you, or it's like a very usual way. The way I would recommend to anybody is that look at the maybe at a cause list, and it will basically, so when you look at a cause list, you know the sort of sections that are being there in a particular case, and then you can identify who is the lawyer, and then from there when you understand, okay, who this lawyer is he making a regular appearance before the corporate like before the courts, like before the NCLT or before the high court, you will have a bit of an idea there. So you can either directly reach out to even independent counsels who are doing corporate matters. Then you have those
Yeah.
senior who uh, who would definitely be working on these matters. So you can then list out those senior counsels who are known for their presence in corporate matters. So this way, you have to do your due diligence, and while you should not put any of them aside, put all of these three things in your charts, and then identify. Okay, is it Khaitan? Is it another mid-tier law firm? It's a whichever firm, or is it this independent counsel who has been handling this matter? This way, it gets easier for you. Whatever you do, you should be methodical and structured. The thing is that jitni jaldi if you take it up, as soon as you can start uh, getting this into your working
Yeah.
practice, is going to help you.
Yeah, yeah. That takes us to the next question, and this is from Param Shah. What traits do you believe one requires to suit better into corporate as against practice in firms as such? Like,
Sure.
this is for probably Param is probably you mean it for an in-house role. Is that what you mean? Corporate as against full-fledged litigation. That's what he's saying.
Right. So it all depends on your interest um, altogether. See, the traits that you're looking for, there are no distinct traits where you are able to say that, okay, I think I am suitable more for litigation, or I am suitable more for the corporate transactional role. It is something which is going to suit to your abilities, and which you are able to identify with. So for instance, I'll tell you how. Assuming that you, when you are working on a matter, what would interest you more? Whether you are okay in drafting and being on the negotiating table and complete the entire transaction with the clients and the parties, or whether the disputes that would arise out of that transaction, that is going to attract you more. If the answer to the latter part is yes, then I think you are there to go for the litigation, the corporate litigation side. But if something like this, where you feel that no, I think I am more suited to be negotiating, to be doing the entire transaction, then I think you're suited there. But I have done an interplay there. I have done both of them, and this basically gives me a perspective as to
Yeah.
how to even deal with the disputes, or what sort of intent with which the parties had entered into at that given point in time. So, while we
Absolutely.
are entering into a profession, we are told that it's either corporate or litigation. I would see it more in terms of, the first few years you just learn it, whether it is from the transactional bit of it or from the litigation bit of it. Thereafter, I think after you have given a substantial point of time to that particular learning, then you basically are in a better position to identify where you are more suited, before the courts or before the clients on the deal.
Yeah. 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 Perfect. Perfect. So the other question here is how do fresh graduates plan their action, especially the current situation now? This is very relevant because like litigation has been, uh, I think, hit to a great extent in the current situation. In some areas, you'll probably see a surge in drafting. In some areas, actually, you see a surge in litigation also for that matter, like recovery and all. Those areas might see a surge even in the current situation. But like in a situation where you have courts, tribunals kind of taking up only urgent matters, or like, where the functioning is not that gung ho, like, naturally in
Yeah,
this period of time. So how do you go about, your learning, or how do you plan in the
right,
current, like, and this is going to be like for at least some period now, like it's not
right.
envisaged to die down very soon.
Yes. So I agree there that COVID has actually seriously impacted the practice. Um, More in terms of the persons who are actually new to the profession, or who were about to join the profession. Reason being that they will not be really able to see and learn from the physical hearings that we usually get in non-COVID times. This is something which where we have to just pause and wait. I think that's the only option that we can do. But when we are looking at it, I think what the other aspect is that okay, if you're not able to see this situation is definitely not going to be there for a long time. In the sense, COVID might be there for a longer period of time, but
Yeah,
the courts not opening is something which I do not foresee, because now, in fact, a lot of courts are actually contemplating to reopen and start their physical hearings for some particular matter. So, dire dire, like with time, it is going to pick up. But yes, the practice has been impacted. How do you deal with it is something. It's then best that you if you have the opportunity, or if you are working with a workplace already, if you're working with an independent counsel or with a law firm, then I think to an extent this sort of a worry is overcome. But if you are a person who has been practicing independent, then I think the best thing is to just wait and just wait. Yeah.
maybe use this time to really, like, beef up on things, or like prepare for things that are about to come, let's say some time or some period down the line, where you might be able to predict that this is something that's likely to come up, even in terms of or in matters of litigation. You may
Yeah.
be able to kind of predict that these kinds of matters or these types of matters are probably going to, like, come up or develop. And maybe if you kind of beef up reading, see the problem which you mentioned right now, I completely agree to it, because even if the hearings are online, the hearings are conducted online. It's not like you can have a court full of people who are sitting there just to observe the matter. That is something that is completely, like, taken off
Out.
even in online hearings. So uh, yeah, but this might be a time where you kind of, pick up the skills. For example, IBC, like you said, it's the applications are suspended for like matters after 25th March, but then this might be the time where you actually, and I find so many lawyers who tell me this, that I don't have this sequence of cases that has gone through in IBC, where things were like, changed at each stage, and I would like to get my head through that.
Right.
And this might be the time to actually do that kind of thing, because you're not going to see uh, very frequent precedents which are changing for IBC, or you may not see amendments that are very frequent. So you can kind of, as you rightly said, take a pause and catch up with what's already happened, which was very difficult, particularly in case of IBC, because like it kept changing that frequently.
Right. And also, see, if we are thinking of utilizing this time, then you have a lot of things to do and figure out. Like for instances, just keep a watch on the main issues and the main matters that are taking up. Nowadays, that I have observed is that a lot of questions, very new set of questions, like let's say we are looking at MSMEs right now. So there's a draft that is in place right now for MSME insolvency. So things like these, you can start.
Yeah.
to basically just observe these matters while others are busy and then have a grasp on this, be an expert on that. So while maybe some others are actually having a good chance to appear and someone else might not be, you can utilize this time in many ways.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great. So, yeah, I mean, we are not looking to naturally have anything. While students are waiting for their exams and all, this might be a time where they can actually pick up and really kind of dig into and develop a niche into something that they would like to end up working in. Like, because this is the time when you know you have kind of a time in your hands.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you are likely to be like always running, doing tasks, and this can be the time where you actually develop that skills and
Yes.
sharpen that skills. So
Absolutely.
yeah, any other advice, or let's say any real stars of advice, like that you would want to kind of give our participants here in terms
Um,
of corporate litigation?
sure. See, I might sound a little biased, but then I have actually seen how the LawSikho courses are, made up, and things like these actually. Like I have also seen people doing a lot of Coursera courses also. So basically, the point is that if you want to take a practical perspective of issues, and if you have the advantage of actually having a lot of time on your hand, you should actually hone up your skills there. And in order to be a corporate litigator, one thing that is very essential is that you need to understand how the practical world works. And anything which is going to only put you closer to that, I think you should start taking up things like that. So while you cannot practically attend the course, you can definitely take up the practical experiences that the other persons would have, and
Yeah,
then get
yeah.
out of that. Whether you get it from any of these places, whether you get it from LinkedIn, whether you get it from a lot of articles, a lot of blogs are coming up. So it's like a time when you can actually start picking up those things, and like you can maybe prepare some sort of a structured notes for yourself, like for tomorrow, once when everything starts, and in full swing or not, but whenever everything starts, and once when you are there back to the court or back to your workplaces, then your this time, the utilization that you have done during this time is only going to add value to your professional skills. That's
Absolutely,
my
absolutely.
of it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Isha. Yeah, and Isha is very right. With the way this is actually the reason why we include simulation exercises in the courses, is because, like, we want really you to experience that thing. And unless you are into that problem and actually grappling with that problem, unless you have that sense that you are really grappling with that problem, you cannot get the hang of the matter, because by reading you still don't have that experience or that feeling. Like, you can think of reading, by reading a case law, you can actually think of what were the elements, or you can analyze what were the grounds, what was the facts, you can analyze everything here. But unless you are actually put into that case law, like as if you were one of the counsels, that kind of thinking, or how do I find my way out, doesn't come from an external point of view. So that is exactly what we try to do in the courses. uh, Thank you, Anit. Anurodha is, are there any alternatives to litigation? Well, you can take up transaction, as Isha is saying, and you can take up to drafting. That is something that might even be available to you better right now. And it might even make sense to you to get, like, commercial intents of people during this. And that might add to your litigation career later on. But
Yes.
like, is anything that you would like to add, Isha, to this question?
I think that instead of looking for an alternative to litigation, I think we must start learning in the rest of the practices. Let's not differentiate that no, litigation is something where it is sort of hit right now and therefore it's not at a time where we can, ditch it. I would say that first of all, there's no alternative to litigation. If everything runs in hand together, yes, there are chances to avoid litigation, but then eventually we see litigation out of it. So why not let's learn from the other practices in the meantime, and then once when the things are a little normal, we can then get back to the litigation.
And you look at it as a, as like, how will it contribute to your litigation practice? So what
Yeah,
are the things you can pick up from that which will actually add to your litigation practice at, at some point of time, like
yeah,
we are saying drafting. So you, once you get a sense of what it is that the parties are looking from each other, what are their commercial intents, okay, why are they entering into the transaction, what was the objective, and then you can, like, probably deal with that. If there is a dispute, what actually caused the dispute, because you were there right from the point, understanding what was the commercial intent of the parties,
right,
right?
right.
So that is how you look at, you look at the contribution, you look at what contributes to litigation. Any other questions there for Isha? Now, like, we have kind of 3 minutes left, so anyone has any other questions? No questions. Thank you so much, Isha, for the stunning session. Like, we really enjoyed it a lot, and quite a few gem of advices here from you. So thanks so much for being with us. Thank you everybody for being there, and have a great evening.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.